Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video. Giga Texas has had a boring tunnel installed, the purpose of which is to more efficiently move new vehicles from the factory under the central highway and to the west outbound lot for transportation. This work has been going on pretty well and was progressing through the spring and summer with no big issues. But as I discussed in my 9 September video, there was some problems with the road surface panels. And if you want more in-depth information, I would watch that video. But as a recap, this image shows you the road surface panels that were delivered from the Boring Company Bastrop site. This engineering drawing gives you an idea of how these are installed. And again, it provides that road surface for vehicles and covers the utilities at the bottom of the tunnel. Now, they've been using fiber reinforced concrete panels for this purpose. And in my 9 September video, we talked about how they are manufactured, some of the benefits of these concrete and fiber reinforced panels, and how they are used. I also showed you various kinds of fiber that can be used within the concrete mix to make these panels, some of the engineering drawings and examples of how these appear. Now, going back to the tunnel, I showed this image of the actual tunnel from the 12th of July, and I also overlaid that engineering drawing next to this tunnel so you get a good view of what these panels look like, how they would be installed, and a comparison to the actual tunnel to really get a good visual of how all of this would operate once they are installed. And this diagram shows you kind of an illustration. Now, on the 31st of July, all of the panels had been installed and things were looking really great. However, 1 week later, on the first week of August, we saw that all of the panels had been removed for some reason. And this is a great shot of that removal work. And I was wondering why, and I soon found out by noticing that the road surface panels had been removed and many of them had cracked right down the middle. And this series of images is a great example of what the problems that they were encountering. This close-up shows you not only the broken panels, but the fact that these were made on the 24th of June, 2024, and this was just before they were installed. And this image, again, shows how they broke and what that broken surface face looked like for these panels. Of course, this was a big setback, and over at the Bastrop site, more work was underway to rectify this particular situation. Now, this video clip from my 24 September video shows you the work that's in progress. Many of the completed road panels have been stored here. They were doing some engineering tests next to the belt cassette at the top of the screen, and this is where they were manufacturing those new panels. And I suppose that they are using a different kind of fiber reinforcing mix and possibly some rebar within the tunnels. This image shows you where they were doing some additional testing. And also, this tunnel where you see the liner truck entering is very interesting to me. This tunnel was uncompleted without road panels when I visited back in the spring. The fact that they are using this tunnel means that they are probably testing out the new panels using this tunnel before going to Giga Texas. The very next day at Giga Texas, I noticed that these road surface panels had been delivered and getting ready for installation. The P that you see shows that it has passed inspection, and the dates are all in the middle part of September, which contrasts with the June dates on the broken panels that I showed you earlier. Now, all of these being delivered here is a great sign that they are getting ready to reinstall these into the tunnel. The other part of the delay is related to the horizontal drilling for the natural gas pipeline. This is being done underneath the tunnel. So with this work, some of the conduit work that has been completed, and the road surface panels, we should start seeing these installed into the tunnel very soon. Of course, the front facing has had this dirt ramp installed. Again, the conduit on the left, a fire water loop has been installed, plus the machinery and pipes for the drainage system of the tunnel. So this is very good news for Giga Texas. So there you have it, a quick recap of what is going on with the boring tunnel here at Giga Texas, the problems with the road surface panels, and the rework that was done over at the Boring Company Bastrop site plus the redelivery now of these panels for installation. I hope that you found this review helpful and informative, and as always, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Well, it's a beautiful day to fly here at Giga Texas. We're starting off on the southeast side over the River Road extension where the glass company has its workshop, and some of the equipment, including that tarp-covered kind of a yellow device that is used to pick up and install the glass, and also the lined pond. This pond is being used currently to collect some of the water that's being used to clean out the cooling plant pipes. Speaking of pipes, on the ground there are more of these natural gas pipes being prepared for installation along this side of the road. And as we zoom in, we can get a great look with all of the light coming from the low sun in this early morning into the east side of the extension, and also a view of the work that's going on the ground floor of the cooling plant. You see those gray pipes on the ground and kind of reaching up into part of the structure. That is part of that clean out system, and the water is being directed in a pipe underneath the road where that truck is over to that lined pond. As I bring the drone back up to a higher altitude, I'll maneuver to fly between the cooling plant and the extension and give you some views of the activity that is going on here. Now, a couple of things to pay attention to on the cooling plant. Those vertical riser pipes, still only 4 are installed. It looks like there's some additional work on one of the connections. The part of the 5th one is being installed, and you can tell that right in the center of the screen. And then the 6th one is being prepared on the ground for installation. And a lot of work again on those main pipes for the cooling water on the ground level. As I maneuver the drone around this platform on the right-hand side of the screen, across the road is where we've been seeing electricians working on the lower power lines, and hopefully we'll see additional work on that very soon. I'm also going to bring the drone down here close to the building, taking advantage of the light so you can get a view into the extension, both on the ground floor and that kind of interior structure is part of where the Cortex is. The 2nd floor, good view of some of the equipment and how clean it is becoming, and then also on the east side of the ground floor. And this is a look into the cooling plant on the bottom of the structure itself, and some of the other equipment that's arrayed out here in the parking lot. Now, as I turn back, the lighting is perfect for us to see through the glass and get a look at some of the other structures, especially on the 2nd floor, that are being installed and the equipment along with those structures. This is part of the area that I'm not able to see too much because of the glare on the windows, so I'm glad that that worked out. Now, on the south end tunnels, we see a lot of work going on, not only with the grade and preparation for the driving surface on the top of the 3 tiers, and of course in the middle for walkways, and the bottom is the part that is being prepared in case it were to flood out of the cyber pond. But we also see these very large white pipes being installed along each of the tunnels. This is part of the roof drainage system. And we have several of the drains on the roof that connect into pipes similar to this, go through the perimeter grade beam and connect it to those pipes, and it will drain into the cyber pond. As I bring the drone down lower, this is a great perspective of the 3 levels of this terraced south end. Of course, the work that's continuing on each of the tunnels to get it ready for operation, and the grade that is going on top of each of the tunnels right up to the glass is very evident, including geotextile membranes that have been installed on the underneath the dirt, the top dirt, and gravel. Speaking of additional earthwork, here on the southwest corner of the Cyber Pond, they continue to reshape this berm near this corner of the pond, but I don't see any additional work such as conduit or trenching, so it looks like they're just reworking the berm. As we fly back along the southwest angled corner, good view of some of the equipment on the ground and the small go-karts or the ATVs on the right. That's what the workers use to drive around the site and get from one place to the other. So you see those, they're very common moving around Giga Texas. I'll bring the drone down and use the building to shade and give kind of a quick look at the work that's going on the second floor here. And then as I bring the drone down, that wall directly ahead of me is what is hiding the boring company tunnel now. Of course, they're continuing the structure all along the side of the building over to this open section where you see the asphalt. And that's going to be for Model Ys to be able to drive through here and then be able to access the tunnel, at least for now. And in the future, I'm sure there's going to be additional changes. But here's a really good look at that part of the factory. And that paving goes behind that wall over to the tunnel that we talked about. There is a little bit of excavation work here next to the temporary platform. Some of the Cybertrucks are exiting the factory, and a few of them are being stored on the left-hand side. And again, this is Friday, so there's not a lot of new production, but they're wrapping up items that could be wrapped up from the rest of the work week. I do not see any of the crates or equipment being loaded into the dock here. This is the first time in a couple weeks that I have not seen that underway, so that may signal a change has occurred. As we get close to the main entrance, a nice view again with the flags and the main entranceway on the right-hand side of the screen. And I'll bring the drone up and we'll prepare to cross over the highway, and we'll resume over near the boring tunnel. Now that we crossed over the road, this is a look at the horizontal drilling that is now going to the north along this section, and the underground pipes that will connect through to these depressions on either side of the boring tunnel. There's already a pipe in there, and then that will be connected to those green pipes that we saw. And also more of the horizontal drilling on this side heading to the south, and it goes towards the river and then under the river to a similar site that we saw earlier in the month or late August, where they were preparing the pipe on that side of the river. As I maneuver the drone around this section of the site, I'm going to cut in close to those road panels that we discussed in the intro. And it does not look like there's been any more transported from the Bastrop site yet, but that's probably because we're getting ready for the weekend, and we'll maybe see a lot more of them showing up on next week. Also, more of the horizontal drilling is going underway right now underneath the tunnel, so they may be waiting for that to get to a different state before they start working. But we'll monitor that next week. As I get closer to the tunnel itself and fly over some of the equipment for the boring company and those two containers as well, I'll zoom in. This is what the facing part of the tunnel looks like. Kind of a dirt ramp next to the conduit and the hydrant with the fire water loop visible on the left. And of course, that orange fenced section is a part of the excavation that allows the natural gas pipe to go underneath the tunnel. So I'm going to bring the drone up to a higher altitude, fly towards the south, and look all over the west support facility, which includes the West Warehouse on Wheels on the left, the boring tunnel, the outbound lot, and the end-of-line facility. Now here on the south end is one of these kind of outfall manifolds. It's part of the water management system. There are a couple of pipes that are visible that enter into this, and then it helps spread the water out to prevent erosion when it comes into this depression. And they'll put riprap, which is kind of like broken up large rocks, on the end of that to help with the erosion as well. Now, as we fly up over the power lines towards this triangular section, there are a few things I want to show you. On the left-hand side of the screen next to the road is more of the trenching that is for electrical conduit and probably for lighting. Here in the middle of the screen, we have large deliveries of more steel items. You can see the trucks that have just unloaded, and they'll be maneuvering some more of the items over to the areas where they are storing them. Steel corrugated pipe on the left is for that underground water management system. More of the dirt and different kinds of soil and gravel are being stored here. And another big delivery of these transformers. I will zoom in so you can get a better view. These are coming in from Mexico. These are usually used for solar panels and or battery backup per the manufacturer. This is a set of the transformers that have been here for a while. They're going to be continuing to add more and more. These are different than the 84 transformers we'll see a little later in the video, but combined together, there's now over 120 of these transformers being stored on this side of the site. Of course, more of the steel that has been temporarily stored here, and more of the pipes on the bottom of the screen. As we fly up over the power lines, this is a view of another one of the west side material staging yards. All of the blue and white items I think are for a smaller stamping press. We see some of the blue pipes on the bottom that are used for clean out of that cooling plant on the southeast side. And then in this fenced section, we see some containers and some new deliveries on the bottom right. In addition to that, a lot of the pipe segments and connections, some of which have either white paint or ceramic coating on the inside of the pipes, and that is for the baghouse plant on the east side of the casting machine structure, which we will see later, and there is some big news with some of the development over on that side. Here are those 84 transformers that I mentioned. These are of a different kind than the ones that we saw further south, and I'm still waiting to find out where those are going to be installed. Now, as we cross over this north-south road, I wanted to show you the outbound lot, the mix of vehicles. It's a pretty good mix of both Cybertrucks and Model Ys. On the upper right-hand side of the screen on the road is more of the transport trucks that are lining up to start picking up, and they will be doing that through the weekend, probably related to the third quarter coming to an end. We do see many of the Cybertrucks on this north end, some of which have their trunks open, and looks like they're doing some additional checkouts here before they are moved to the end-of-line facility and then prepped for transportation. As I mentioned, there's some of the transport trucks that are visible on the top of the screen. On the bottom of the screen is another one of those outfall channels for the water management system, and you can see that rock, which is called riprap, and that's to help control erosion. And that'll help drain out this depression that is running left to right across the screen. As I fly up over the end-of-line facility, looking to the north, we get a good view of the natural gas pipeline installation that is underway. Also, more of the Cybertrucks preparing to enter the north end of the end-of-line for processing. As we fly over this concrete vault and into this section where the trench work and the installation of the pipe continues, and this is related to the horizontal drilling we saw near the boring company tunnel earlier in the video. Of course, another of the material staging yards on the left-hand side of the screen with those tents, and way up to the north is where that natural gas pipeline continues. So I'm going to cross over the highway and we'll resume on the other side. There are a few developments here. First, some work continues on this dirt section next to that opening with the green temporary walls. And that red item used to have pipes connected for the firewater loop as they did additional work elsewhere, and those have been disconnected. Here, next to the battery cell can recycling, also we can tell that many more crates have arrived, or at least looks like they've arrived, and they're being processed in that area. As we get to the northwest corner, a few things. One, there's landscapers on the left, and here on the center of the screen is the section that we've been monitoring for preparation for concrete that has been poured. It looks like there's additional forms and the bollards are in place. And directly ahead is more of the cabling and the flexible conduit, and this is all being installed today along the west side berm of Giga Texas, and it's definitely a change, and for some reason that is picking back up again. We've seen that before over the past few months. As I come up to the roof section, a quick look at the various ductwork that has been installed. More of the mounts are in the middle of the screen on the ground and the ducted fans, and they're also working on some of these larger ducts as well. I'm going to reposition the drone down to the north side, and as I turn around, there are a few interesting developments, one of which is this delivery that is underway. And on the right-hand side of the screen, you can tell that there's some sort of white powder-coated equipment that is just being unpacked and being prepared to be moved into this section. As we continue to fly along the north end of the factory, there are a few other things that are interesting and new today. And one of them is right here on this corner. There's this truck. It looks like there's two different kinds of dirt, and the doors are open, and perhaps they are doing some work just on the inside of this area. And you can see a tarp and some other equipment on the ground. I'm not exactly sure what they are doing, but this is something new, and I thought I would point that out. As we continue to fly around the northeast corner, those open vaults with the cable and conduit continue to have work. And of course, another one of those excavations with a conduit on the bottom right. Now, there are huge numbers of changes here on this east side of casting today. So we'll go slow, and I'll try to show you as much as I can. First of all the concrete, with the exception of this one section on the bottom, is completed. A lot of steel items have been delivered, and they are being assembled into a structure on this part of the site, and this is directly over those receiving doors. We can actually see one of the columns being picked up right now. And with the footings that we've seen constructed through this area, it looks like this is going to kind of enclose this entire lower level of the east side and over all of these receiving doors. In addition to that, we can tell that one of these kind of cube structures on the ground is getting ready for being picked up. And where is it going? To this new structure that has been added to the top of the baghouse filtration plant. It's actually now taller than the factory walls themselves. And as I maneuver the drone around, give you a bird's eye view down to the baghouse plant itself, on the center of the screen, those are two more of those kind of cube structures similar to what we see on the ground. And it looks like they're going to be installing those here and getting up even taller as part of this installation. In addition to that, a good view of more of the ductwork and equipment that's being installed on the ground floor. And as I pull away, I also give you another view of how this is all kind of taking shape on this south side with the two tanks and the filtration units with those kind of semicircular ducting on the roof and the sides of the structure. More of those items on the ground, similar to what we saw in the west side material staging yard, and another one of those cube type steel structures is just being delivered now. You can see that on the bottom of the screen as it is coming into the site. As I zoomed in, this is also a nice view at a low level of what all this looks like. And again, you can see how that structure on the left is taller than the building. This also gives a nice look at the structure that is being constructed on this new apron and how this will look. Finally, there are connections into the factory itself through that black band and the grates that connects into the baghouse filtration plant. So a lot of changes going on here. Now, as I pan the drone along the east side towards the south, I just wanted to give you a look at the work that is continuing on the medians. and it looks like they are spreading different colors of dirt onto the median itself. I don't know if that's going to be just made for storage of castings or if it'll be some sort of drive path. But anyway, that is definitely changing as well. So I zoom back out. This will be a good overall view of this northeast corner. And I'm going to reposition the drone up to the electrical switch yard where there are also some changes today. As we approach the south end of the electrical switch yard, a few things to take note of. The two control trailers that are existing will most likely be joined by a third, where you see the fence on the bottom right of the screen on top of the concrete vault. In addition to that, concrete has now been poured in that center slab of the catch basin for the third transformer. And on the left-hand side of the screen, they're starting to build that kind of blast wall that will separate the transformers. And as I maneuver the drone, you'll look back at some of the existing transformers and you'll note that there is a wall already existing between the two installed transformers. And we'll see another one just like that. But this is a great close-in view of what they are doing. As I zoom back out, it's a better overall view of where this is in part of the electrical switch yard. Just to the north, there are footings for additional steel items and possibly another A-frame structure that'll be there to allow the connections and the high-tension cables to go to that transformer. And in this section, more footings have been completed. This will add additional items, including most likely V-top circuit breakers in one of those areas to finish out this section. As I pull away, a great overall view of the electrical switch yard, the Megapack, the main factory in the distance, and the water detention pond on the left-hand side of the screen. So I'm going to reposition over to the die shop and battery cathode plant, and we'll resume the narration there. On the ground, the semicircular drive path is around the lift station, which is part of kind of the water management system in this part of the site. And we also see more of those deliveries, some of which are under plastic in the middle fenced-off section of this site. And I will continue to monitor that, see if we can figure out where that is going. Now, on my previous video, we saw the wall panel getting ready to be removed. That has happened, and they've reestablished the temporary platform, and they will be loading items up into the third floor. In addition to that, work seems to be ongoing with the portable generators and chilling units for the chiller plant, as you can tell. On the north end of the die shop, some of the equipment that is still being used to kind of fit out the interior and being used for some of the production that they are doing inside, plus that covered furnace that is on the north side. I'm going to fly along the west side here. And I wanted to see if there was any deliveries on the ground. On the previous video, I did notice that there was a few, but I don't really see anything at all other than old rusted parts of dies that are used for the casting machines. I'm going to bring the drone back up to a higher altitude, reposition along the south end of the die shop. Also a look at the Tesla Road extension location that will go throughout this entire area. And now that they've got the underground water management system installed, hopefully we'll see that happening soon. On the right-hand side of the screen coming into view is some more of that equipment, kind of teal and white. And although it's been here for a while, it's all been uncovered, so it should be moving pretty soon. As I fly up over the temporary kitchen, the ground that you can see all graded is nearly completed. Then underneath here is where electrical conduit has been recently installed. You can tell with that open concrete vault and the trenches going into the kitchen. The origin point for those conduits is right here next to the mechanics room for the crash test facility and on the west side of the trailers that you can tell. And there is some more additional excavation work underway. As we fly along the crash test facility, they have a new kind of a black tarp on the south end, and of course the new fence that has been recently installed. Also, vehicles that have been recently crash tested. The weigh pit is once again empty and not being used at the moment. Of course, the cell testing lab here in the middle of the screen continues to have work being done, and we do see vehicles and employees on this site here often. So anyway, I'll bring the drone up to a higher altitude to give you a great view from the northeast to the southwest across the entire site, and seeing many of the areas that we did visit today. As always, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Good luck to Tesla for a strong third quarter, and have a great weekend. Take care.